girls, this is Amira Rowan. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making Brigid Cross Butter Biscuits for the Imbolc season. For this, you will need 400 grams plain flour, 250 grams vegan butter, 125 grams icing sugar, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a heart full of pure intention. So, why make Brigid Cross biscuits at this time? Well, traditionally, rushes were brought into the home on Imbolg, then created into Brigid Crosses, which would be nailed to the beams of homes for protection. A Brigid Cross is something I like to make every year at this time to celebrate the season. In it, we can see sun symbolism and the turning of the seasons. I use them for protection. They can be used to bless the Imbolg meal and sometimes also used as placemats for our Imbolg food. At this time, we often have a ritual as part of our celebrations to invoke the goddess for peace and protection. And so this Brigid Cross Butter Biscuit is a lovely offering for the goddess, and they're also a sweet little treat and gift of protection for our loved ones at this time. Personally, I like to create a larger one for my offering and smaller ones for my friends and family to enjoy. So without further ado, let's get cooking! First, prepare a bowl of 125 grams of icing sugar, and then add half a teaspoon of cinnamon, which has protective energies and will give our Brigid Cross that extra oomph to its already protective quality. Mindfully focus as you stir in a diacetyl direction. If you are using a non-salted butter, you may wish to also add in a pinch of salt here. Now take a large bowl and add in 250 grams of vegan butter. A quick note, this butter should be at room temperature, which will be easier to work with. Or you can just opt for a spreadable butter like mine, which saves a bit of time. Now add in the cinnamon sugar mix and cream until combined. Time to add in our flour. You may wish to add in less than the prepared amount first, slowly adding more if necessary. The amount of flour used will vary a bit depending on what type of butter you're using, so it's always good to start with less first. Now blend this all together until it comes into a nice smooth paste. And that's it for the pastry. If you wish, you can pop this in the fridge for about half an hour to toughen it up a little before rolling it out. Next, roll out your paste onto a non-stick surface to about 1/4 inch. Then cut strips of about 1 centimetre wide. Now for the weaving of Brigid Cross. This will be easy for those of you who have made a few actual Brigid Crosses before. If not, don't worry. If you do get confused, you can always rewind, watch back and slowly follow along. Now, there are various different ways to weave the cross. However, I feel this is the easiest way to weave one made of pastry. And we also won't be making that many rounds of the weaves, so hopefully this will be simple to follow along. So, since our paste is very delicate, we want to be crafting the biscuit on a parchment papered baking tray. First, take 2 strips and create a cross. You can flatten out the centre a little. Next, take a strip and place it under the east point, lining it up with the vertical axis and folding it down to the south point. That's right, I like to see these as cardinal points. If any of this sounds complex, just follow along with what's happening on the screen. Flip up the southern strips. Place a new strip in line with the horizontal axis, lining the end up with the west point. Pull back down the southern strips and fold over the new strip to the west point, cutting off any excess pastry. Now flip the western strips to the side. Place a new strip in line with the vertical axis, lining the end up with the north point, and pull back the western strips and fold over the new strip to the north point, cutting off any excess pastry. Now flip the northern strips down. Place a new strip in line with the horizontal axis, lining the end up with the east point. Pull back the northern strips and fold over the new strip to the east point, cutting off any excess pastry. If you want to make a larger Brigid's Cross, repeat the previous 4 steps again. If not, let's start our final round. So here, flip the eastern strips to one side, lining a new strip up with the vertical axis. Flip the eastern strips back, but this time leave a loop at the top before folding to the southern point. Then continue as before until you reach the north point. Flip up the southern strips, place a new strip in line with the horizontal axis, lining the end up with the west point. Pull back down the southern strips and fold over the new strip to the west point, cutting off any excess pastry. Flip the western strips to the side, place a new strip in line with the vertical axis, lining the end up with the north point, pull back the western strips and fold over the new strip to the north point, cutting off any excess pastry. And we have arrived at the north point, our final weave. Flip the northern strips down, place a new strip in line with the horizontal axis, this time pulling it through the loop and lining the end up as before with the east point. Now pull back the northern strips and fold over the new strip to the east point, this time pulling it through the loop. Then cut off any excess pastry. And for the last step, carefully tighten up the strip we used to make the loop. If you wish, you can also roll out each of the strand ends to make them longer and thinner. And then also roll out some short pieces to make bindings for the legs of the cross. Then chop the ends to make the legs the same size. And we're done! Now just bake in the oven at 180 degrees Celsius for around 10 to 15 minutes. Whilst the biscuits are cooking, I'll just add a few more notes here. If you want, you can make thinner strands for your cross by cutting the centimetre strands through the middle. I often do this as I find it's easier to pinch and cut them through the middle than just trying to cut thin strands from your rolled out pastry dough. You can then also roll each strand to make them more even. With these types of strands, I find you can just gently pull on the legs to make them longer. You can of course also make crosses with just 2 rounds of the weave. This is the type I actually make the most, and they should look a little like this. With the last of your pastry, you can also make mini ones. Actually, sometimes I like to make a whole batch of mini ones. They're easier to store and are a nice little gift to give away. For these, I generally just make 1 round of the weave. For this, all you have to do is make a loop in your first step, then weave as normal, and on the final weave, pull the strand through your loop. I always love how cute these turn out. And there you have it, Brigid's Cross Butter Biscuits. all for today. I hope you like this recipe. If you do, please consider subscribing to the channel for more Wheel of the Year treats. Do enjoy your Brigid Cross butter biscuits, and many blessings to you all this Imbolg. Bye!
The moon, she dances like the waves on the shore, making circles like the waves on the shore.